getting ready to do my next project here, and I figured I'd start a small vlog on it. The majority of you already know how to do this project, but it's going to be LED lights. I am in the process of converting my whole haunt over to LED lighting, and I got the majority of my basic parts in, so I was going to go ahead and get started. I got to get resistors, you know, soldered on to the LEDs yet, and I've got wiring I've got attached to them. You know, so it's a long project. Got me a nice little storage container to store parts and pieces in. I thought it'd come in handy, and got me a little workstation and what have you. So that's our next project. I'll do clips off and on as I go and give you my feedback on it. So more to come. Okay guys, I did shoot one small piece on this project, which you just saw. I'm a little bit further into my LED project, and I want to kind of give you an update of where I've gotten to so far. We started out with the resistor, LED, and then we got our positive and negative leads. We got those. I've been working strictly on the blue LED so far, and I've got a bunch of them done up already. LEDs, you can see the resistor on there, and I've got the leads attached. Now I've also done a series of 3 LEDs, and I've got them joined together. I still need to get the resistors for those, so I haven't gotten any further on those. And once I get to that point, I take black electrical tape and I'm wrapping them. I figure a roll of electrical tape will do quite a few LEDs, and it's a lot cheaper than using the shrink wrap. It is a little bit more work using the electrical tape, but it's all about saving money. So far I've gotten 45 of the blue LEDs all the way done for the singles, and I've got 32 of these clusters put together. And like I said, I still need to get the resistor for it before I can solder on the leads. So, but anyway, that's where I am so far on the project. Once I get the blues done, I think I'm going to start repeating the process on the green, the UV, and the red LEDs, and I'm probably going to go over and buy a bunch of the tubes to do the housing for the single LEDs too. But it's an involved project. It's going to take a month or two to get these done probably. But hey guys, wanted to do another segment here. So far I've gotten the blue, the green, and the ultraviolet LEDs done. I've got the resistors soldered on to the red LEDs, you know, just the singles. I haven't done any of the floodlights yet. And I thought I was going to take a break. I wanted to work on another aspect of the LED project for the singles. And that's these here. These are the barrels. Here, turn that hold on here. It's looking kind of wonky. But these are the barrels that the LEDs will fit into. Now, my idea for doing the barrels, and I would like to thank Alan over at Stilt Beast Studios. This was his idea. You know, I'm kind of following his steps at this point for the LED spots that he made. But he suggested using one of these. It's a tomato stake. It's basically a metal tube with a vinyl coating over it, and it's a perfect size for doing the project. And those are all the ones I still got to cut. But in his vlog that he has up on his channel, he states basically cut off the tip, because the tip on all the tomato steaks has a plug in it. You want to cut that plug off, and then measure off 2.5 to 3 inches. And mine I've got set at 3 inches, 3-inch intervals, and just cut off sections, and you end up with all of these. And each one of these will house one LED, and that's kind of the step I'm doing now. Alan also stated in his vlog, which I am doing, and it's smart, using one of these. It's a pipe cutter. You probably could use some shears or something to cut this tube, but it's a very soft tubing. If you do that, it's going to crank. That little cutter will make a nice smooth cut, you know, so you have a nice round tube instead of a tube with a flat end. So I'm in the process now of cutting out tubes. Now, I am going to be adding my own little twist to it. Another thing I'm going to do is on the end that the LED is going to go into, I bought some chrome paint, and I'm going to paint the inside of the tube chrome and see how that acts as a reflector for the LED to help, you know, bounce even more light out. So I'm going to be doing that too with these. But, you know, like I said at the start of this, I'm basically taking some time off from doing some soldering and working on this aspect for a while. I wanted to get these cut and get these painted so they're ready to go once I'm done with the red LEDs. So. But anyway, that's my step I'm currently working on. Okay, got the barrels done, tubes, barrels, whatever you want to call them, for the single LEDs. Ended up 414, which is a little overkill. I'm going to have a handful left over. But I showed you the tomato steaks, and that's what these are. They're 3 inches long, and that's following what Alan said over at Stilt Beast. Now I did do something a little different. I deviated from his plan. I went and took some, you really can't see it except for here on the tip, I went and took some chrome paint and coated the inside of it, and then also the outer lip of it too. And the idea of it was, as it probably isn't going to be needed, but I wanted such a reflective surface because the LEDs I've got throw out light, you know, forward as well as a little bit off to the side, and I wanted to try to focus that sideways light out more forward. So I figured I wanted to put some sort of reflector in there and just give it a try to see what they look like. So now all of them have been coated on the inside, so these are ready right now to insert the LEDs in. So I do still have to make a mounting bracket for each one of these, which I'm gonna work on next. I'll do that while I'm in SOP tonight. So it's but anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you. And I know the camera dipped down, Pat. I know the nasal view again. But anyway, 414 LED light barrels finished. That's where we're at now. I do have one thing I want to bring up. If you notice, some of the LEDs have some masking tape down at the bottom of the electrical tape that I wrapped around them. And that's because of a consumer alert I'm going to give you. I ran out of the electrical tape I had with me, and I happened to be down at Harbor Freight looking for something else, and they had a huge, I think it was like 6 or 7 rolls or something like that of electrical tape down there for sale for like $4. And I figured, okay, it's a good deal. Went ahead and bought them, came home, and I found out why it was such a good deal. When you take that tape off the roll, it feels sticky. Once you apply it, you let it set overnight, and the stickiness goes away, and the tape starts unwrapping. It's junk vinyl tape. So whatever you do, if you need electrical tape, don't buy it from Harbor Freight. I mean, you're wasting your money. Go down to Lowe's, Home Depot, or your electrical supply house and get it. Don't buy it from Harbor Freight. But that's why I had here. It started letting loose and unwrapping, so I just wrapped it back around and put a piece of masking tape on the bottom there to hold it to keep it from doing that. But anyway, LEDs do work. Nice, pretty green color. You can see it there a little bit on the wall. Let's hit the light off. That's what 6 of them look like from about a foot away. And it's midday here, so it's not that dark out. But go like that, and you can kind of see, you know, the green pattern. I'll do another light check here with these later on in the series once I get them all done and in their fixtures and everything, and so you can see what the individual spots and the floods end up looking like. But all in all, not too bad. Some nice coloring on it, you know, with it being broad daylight out. I don't think it's too bad. I think they're showing up pretty good. I think they ought to show up really nice at night. I went and wired up 24 blue LEDs. And I thought I'd give you a little light show to see, so you can see the power supply going. I know it just got dark. Hold on a sec. There we got light. You know, that's 24 LEDs there. I'm planning on doing a single spot. That's what the single spot looks like. It's about that color there. You shine it over there. You know, the further away you get, the wider it goes. Now I'm going to do some singles, and I'm going to do some 6-shot floods. I'm sorry, the camera just went wanky. And it's not the actual pattern, but you know, you can see the type of light it puts out for a flood with just using 6. But color's pretty goddamn bright on these. I think these are going to work really nice for the hunt this year. Got a few more LEDs done. Actually, I got all the UV ones done, and which is this pile here. And I ended up with 108. And I should have only had 104. I think I ended up getting 4 extra LEDs. There's my 104 blue LEDs, and I've gotten 6 LEDs plugged into my computer power supply. And I thought I'd show you what they ended up looking like. It's not overly dark in here. It's the middle of the afternoon, but this is about the best I can do. But as you can see, they're lit and going. And on the UV, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's some white and stuff in this header on top of our curtain here. It is making them glow. In the closet, the white's really showing up on the blue, and there's some paper up there where it's nice and dark, and it's really glowing too good. I think these are going to end up looking good in the hunt. You can get it over here, but I know it'd be better if I'd done this at night. It would have showed up a lot better. But anyway, so I've gotten 212 LEDs finished so far. Okay guys, it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I decided I don't have all the reds totally done yet, but I figured I'd do a color check on them so you guys can see what they look like. I brought out 6, and you can kind of see it there. It's not too bad. And then there's a single. You know, they're not as bright as the blue, green, and the ultraviolets are, but I think they're good enough. They're more than bright enough for what I'm going to need them for, and all. And of course, they'll look a lot brighter at nighttime too. There's a lot of ambient light coming in the room, but I think that'll work out fine. There's another LED update. Greens are done, and that means I've got the single red LEDs I need to assemble, and I've got the combinations of 3 LEDs I need to get soldered together and stuff before, so I can start putting them into their fittings or housings or whatever you want to call it. Problem is, I don't have the resistors for them. I've got the resistors ordered, and they're supposed to be coming in tomorrow, hopefully. So maybe later this week I can start soldering up the reds. In the meantime, I just sat down today and started a side project, since I'm caught up as far as I can until I get those resistors in. I've been talking to Hall staff and Pat from Dead Things, and a couple others, Scuba Scoop, on SOP. I've got a bunch of these. They're little LED strobe lights. They run off of 3 AA batteries. And I was thinking, since I got the computer power supply and stuff done, I was wondering if I could wire them up, get rid of the battery power, and wire them up to my computer power supplies, which I did for this project, and run them off of that. That way I'm not doing a lot of batteries, because the batteries get so expensive on Halloween. So I took one apart. Actually, this is my second one I've taken apart, you know, just to see the inside of it. And what you're looking at here is the underside of where the batteries go. You can see a little circuit breaker, or not circuit board, not a circuit breaker, but a circuit board in there. And then it goes into a switch on the side to turn it on over here, and then up into the lights. Now what I'm going to be doing is I've got some red wire and some black wire, and I check my terminals. The red one is positive, the black one up here is negative. I'm going to solder these on and then run them down over to my computer power supply and power them that way. Now I do have one I did. You can see the wires on it. It's going to the computer power supply, and as you can see, it's working. I've had it running for probably about 45 minutes now. So you know, and it's still as bright as ever. I'm going to let it run for a little bit longer, but I figure while I'm waiting for parts to come in, I'm going to start working on these strobe lights and getting these wired up and converted over to the 5 volt. It should be okay. At least with these black LEDs, or black strobe lights. I got another type here, silver, that I bought from Michael's years ago, and they're actually an ultraviolet strobe light that make noise, or you can have them just run with the lights. I haven't opened up these yet to look at them, but I'm going to convert these over too, I think, after doing a test, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I figured I'd show you another step on these LED strobe lights here. I got my wires soldered in onto the tabs here, and I've checked it, connections work and stuff, and they're pretty steady. So I figured I'd show you what I did for my wiring. Now I'm going to do with the extra wiring, because if I leave it like that, the bottom's not going to go back on, or the cover's not going to go back on. So I'm going to shove the wiring down out these holes here, which brings it out in the battery box. And then the lid for the battery box actually has a notch in it, and I can pop them out the notch that way to run them. Now what I ended up doing on here is on the wire itself, it's 2 foot long. Actually, I cut it out 26 inches long. When I get them set up in the haunt, I'll put a connector on them and just attach them to the power wire, is what I have planned. So, but anyway, that's kind of what the soldering looks like. So there's that. Oh, and I have one other thing I need to address. Pat from Dead Things. If you notice with the last segment and this segment, I've been holding the camera upright, but just for you, since you got such a laugh out of it, have some nose hair. That's for you, Pat. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, guys, wanted to kind of give you kind of a wrap up on what we've done with LED lights and a problem I did come into during assembly. I'll run over that in a little bit. First off, we started with this here. We took the LED and we soldered the resistor onto it. Okay. Our next step was to cut a bunch of lead wires. Okay, now these are 6-inch long leads, and I've stripped one end of them off. Okay, and I've got gray and I've got white on these. I've been using basically some scrap wire and stuff that I've had around the house. I also went down and bought some 24 gauge wire as well, which I use in some of the lights. But that's about the size wire you need, is 24 gauge wire. Get those cut. Once you get that done, you take those wires and you solder them on to the LED and the resistor. Neutral goes on the side with the resistor. Resistor always goes on the negative side. Your next step after that is you can use either shrink tube, which if you're doing a lot of lights like I am, gets really expensive, or you can take the cheap way out and use electrical tape, which is what I did. And you want to wrap the connection from the base of the LED down onto the lead. That way the whole solder joint is covered and protected. Now once you get it to this stage, get your power supply out and test it. Make sure you've got, the light will come on if you've done everything right. So you want to make sure you do that. Make sure you test it. Once you get to that part, you can set this assembly and that part of the mess off to the side. Your next step is you need to cut the barrels. And again, I followed Alan from Stilt Beast Studios design to a point. I used tomato steaks, and I cut them to 3-inch lengths. Where I did vary from him, and I don't know if this is going to make much of a difference, but I took some silver paint and I painted the lip around and just inside where the LED is going to be set now. I was hoping that might act more of a reflector, it might reflect more light out. I don't really know. I haven't tested it, to see if there's a difference between the painted and the non-painted tubes, but I figure it couldn't hurt. Other than that, then you need to make yourself a mounting bracket, and this is different from what Alan over at Stilt Beast did as well. I used baling wire. You can get it for like $3 for like 50 feet or 100 feet. I'm not exactly sure on the length, but you get quite a bit of it for fairly cheap. And I cut out 8-inch long pieces, 2 inches of it I bent over, so you end up with a L or L, depending on how you want to look at it. The other end, I put a loop. I'll turn it down like this here. I put a loop in it. That's where you're going to mount it. That's where your screws at, and then your light goes up here, like that. Okay, and that's your next job. Is after you get both pieces cut, simply take your bracket and make sure you put the end of the wire toward the back side of your tube where the leads are going to be coming out for LEDs. Just take electrical tape and wrap it around the tube. When you get done, you should have something that looks like that. Here's the front, there's the back. Now, a problem I ran into is after you get to this point here, you go back to your LEDs. And your idea is take your LEDs, insert the wire into the tube, and with it just flush with the top, bend your wires back over the tube, run more electrical tape over it. That'll hold your LED into place and go from the mounting bracket back. Now the problem I had, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it with this, but when I kink the wires over, it forces the LED into the sidewall. I'll get up and down. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Right up against the sidewall of the tube. I did not want that. I wanted the LED centered in the tube. And I figured a good way of doing it is I went down, got some file folders, and I cut 1 inch wide by about 6 inch long strips out of it. Simply take one of your strips, put a little piece of duct tape on it, put the strip right up against the base of the LED, tape it on, and then just sit there and keep wrapping it around the LED as tight as you can without messing up your connections that you just spent all that time soldering and wiring up together. Then insert your LED back into your thing. Now when you go to put this in the tube, it's going to be a little tight and you're just going to have to kind of play with it a bit. But when you get it inside, it loosens up and actually holds the LED in the center of the tube. Then you can fold your wires over, tape them down. And that took care of my problem with the LED. And I should have showed you on this one here, but yeah, I think you get the idea. Anyway, once you get to that point, once you get the LED into the tube, get yourself some speaker wire. 18 gauge speaker wire is what I suggest using. And like with Alan said, when you get it, make sure you get the type that has one copper lead and one steel lead. This here is double copper. Copper would be your positive, the steel will be your negative. Me, I didn't go down and buy any 18 gauge wire. What I ended up doing was using a bunch of scrap speaker wire I had at home, and it was enough to do the project. I had quite a bit of speaker wire. But what you want to do is once you get your LED in, you're going to have some, the leads are going to be sticking out the front. Solder these onto your leads to your LED. Fold it back over. So your leads would be here. Fold it back over out the back and then wrap it with duct tape. And your leads and your lights are finished. Now another step too, and I mentioned it a little bit already when we were at this stage, but every time you have to do a soldering on these, when you solder the leads onto the LEDs, and then you solder the leads, the big lead onto the LEDs, make sure you plug them in and test them. You know, make sure everything's working right before you put them into storage until Halloween. Last thing you want to do is get these all set up and then find out they don't work. Now, another problem I'm having too is I'm making so many of them. And they're going to get mixed up. I know I'm going to get greens in with blues and reds in with the ultraviolets and what have you. And I'm not going to be able to tell them apart, because once they go into the tube like this, and even if you look just at the bulb, there's no way of telling what they are until you actually plug them in. So I did two things. One, I did all green. Right, I did all my greens first. So once I got done getting them all wrapped and looking like this, I went and then I put a G on it, just painted a G on the tube. That way come Halloween I'll be able to tell which is which. The other thing I suggest too is while you got your paint out, whichever lead is your negative, regardless of whether you use a copper and steel cable or just double copper, mark it real good. And I put a swath of silver on that lead. You know, so come Halloween when I go to set up my display, I'll know the silver side is the my negative and the bare side is my positive. So, but anyway, that's pretty much the project for this stage of it. Okay guys, this is going to bring a close to what I'm going to call part one. Originally I was going to show you the steps, all the steps for doing single spotlights, which you just saw, and doing the floods, but this thing is getting to be so long and I haven't really uploaded a Halloween video in a while, so I think I'm going to break this down into two spots. In this segment you saw how I assembled the single spots along with the color checks I did on the lights. Also I added a little side project to it with the strobe lights I'm converting over to run off of the computer power supplies, which was my last Halloween vlog I did. Part two is going to show the build on the floodlights as well as the build of the control panel, and I'm going to be making to run all the spotlights and everything. It's probably going to be about another month or so, maybe a little bit longer before I can get that out. So you know, be patient. There's more coming. I'm still here and I haven't died. Right now I wanted to say thank you to three people. First off, Alan over at Stilt Beast Studios. Your vlog that you did on how to assemble the mini spots was invaluable. You know, I found it last summer and it helped me a lot, you know. So I wanted to say thank you for that. Then the other two are, first one is Hallstaff. His haunt name is SOS, Sanctuary of Souls, I do believe. And he's down in California. And then the third one is Pat from Dead Things Yard up in snowy Canada. They spent a lot of time coaching. I was really nervous about doing this project. I've never done anything like this before, and they spent a lot of time coaching me. Spent about a month and a half, 2 months coaching me on and answering all my stupid questions I had that came up. So wanted to say thank you to all three of you guys for your help. So, but anyway, stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll try to help out if I can. If not, I know who to refer you to. So, talk to you later. Hey y'all, I've had a bunch of new subscribers over the last couple of weeks, and figured I'd better do the subscriber shout-outs, because my email box is getting awfully full. So, tied to it, 165 Alice 1002, and I'm going to butcher this one, X Bar Us, Mike Dembski 666, the Open Casket TV, Sparky Evil 01, Snowboarder 10064, Hammond 2109, Pops the Clown, Buddy Christmas Lie, and 9 Cats. Thank you all for subscribing. I hope you like what you see. Definitely been over to your channels and been having fun running around watching your stuff. Some good stuff on those channels. So anyway, thank you for subscribing all.